There's a moment most men miss. A quiet, almost invisible shift where the woman across from you stops experiencing you and starts assessing you. And if you're not paying attention, it feels like everything is normal, but something underneath has already changed. Her eyes are still on you, her voice is still soft, the conversation still flows, yet behind it all she's no longer connecting. She's calculating. Not your character, not your intentions, but your usefulness, your trajectory, your potential return. It's subtle. It doesn't announce itself. It hides in pauses, in the way she listens without really hearing, in the slight delay before she responds, as if she's measuring the value of what you just said rather than feeling it. And if you don't recognize that shift, you won't even realize that you've stopped being a man she appreciates and started becoming a role she's evaluating. That's the moment where many men unknowingly transition from partner to placeholder, from someone chosen to someone temporarily convenient. Most men believe loyalty is something they can secure through provision, through effort, through giving more time, more attention, more resources. But what they don't understand is that in certain dynamics, those things don't create attachment, they create comfort, and comfort can be dangerously misleading. Because when someone is operating from a transactional mindset, what you provide doesn't anchor them to you. It simply sustains the situation while they quietly assess alternatives. Your effort becomes the environment, not the reason they stay. Your value becomes the background, not the focus. And that's where the real danger begins, because you start investing deeper into something that has already begun detaching from you at a psychological level. What looks like appreciation can actually be evaluation. What feels like peace can actually be passivity. And what you interpret as stability might just be a temporary pause while decisions are being made behind the scenes. This is where many men get blindsided, not because the signs weren't there, but because the signs didn't look dramatic enough to trigger concern. No loud arguments, no obvious betrayal. Just a slow, quiet shift in energy that's easy to dismiss if you don't know what you're looking at. And while you're trying to strengthen the connection, she might be analyzing whether the connection still serves her. That's the uncomfortable truth most people don't want to confront, because it forces you to see that not every relationship operates on emotion alone. Some operate on perceived value, on timing, on opportunity. And when someone views connection through that lens, loyalty becomes conditional, not emotional. It becomes something that exists as long as the terms feel favorable. The moment those terms change, or the moment a more appealing option appears, the foundation you thought was solid starts to reveal cracks you never noticed. If you've ever felt like you're giving more than you're receiving, like you're investing into something that feels just out of reach, like no matter how much you show up, there's still a distance you can't close, then you need to pay attention to what we're about to break down. Because this isn't about paranoia, and it's not about blaming. It's about awareness. It's about understanding the difference between genuine connection and quiet evaluation, between someone who is building with you and someone who is simply staying until something shifts. And once you learn to recognize that difference, you stop confusing access with affection, you stop mistaking presence for commitment, and you start seeing the dynamic for what it really is before it reaches a point where the cost becomes too high. Stay with this, because what we're about to uncover will change the way you interpret behavior, the way you respond to subtle signals, and most importantly, the way you position yourself in any relationship moving forward, because the man who understands the game early never has to recover from it later. The first thing you have to understand is the audit of ambition. A woman who is mining for resources doesn't just ask about your job. She asks about your trajectory. She isn't interested in your passion. She is interested in the profit of that passion. You'll notice that her level of affection is directly tied to your level of spending. When you're winning, she is the ultimate muse. But the second you mention a pivot, a loss, or a budget, her energy doesn't just dip, it freezes. This is a biological signal. She is conserving her investment because she doesn't see you as a partner. She sees you as a projected return. If the return looks shaky, she begins the emotional divestment phase. This leads to the transactional intimacy trap. Have you noticed that connection only happens after a purchase? Maybe she's distant all day, but the second you mention that reservation or she sees that shopping bag, she suddenly becomes the woman of your dreams. This is intermittent reinforcement. She is training you to believe that your value is your wallet. She is grooming you to be a provider who expects nothing but surface-level smiles in return for deep-level resources. A woman who cheats and a woman who mines both share the same character deficit. They lack the ability to value the intangible. If they can't see it or spend it, it doesn't exist to them. The fourth major pattern is the privacy of the predator. A woman who is cheating or mining will always have a segmented life. She has compartments you aren't allowed to enter. Her phone is a black box, her friend group is a vague cloud, and her past is a polished story with no rough edges. She tells you that she needs space, but what she actually needs is shadows. In the shadows, she can negotiate with her other options without your morality getting in the way. If you find yourself walking on eggshells around her privacy, it's because she has weaponized your trust against you. When secrecy becomes her standard operating procedure, you are no longer her partner, you are her obstacle. We must address the entitlement loop. Watch the way she treats service staff or people who can't do anything for her. If she is cold to the waiter but radiant to the CEO, she is showing you her internal ranking system. She views the world as a ladder, and she is climbing. If you are the rung she is currently stepping on, you have to realize that her weight is only on you until she can reach the next level. A woman with integrity values character regardless of status. A woman with a pattern values utility above all else. She doesn't feel gratitude for what you provide. She feels entitled to it because of the beauty or attention she brings to the table. In her mind, the exchange is already balanced, which means she owes you nothing, not even loyalty. Behavioral observations suggest that true loyalty is stress-tested in the troughs, not the peaks. If she is bored by your struggles but thrilled by your triumphs, she is a fair-weather fan of your life. The cheater and the gold digger both flee when the storm hits because they don't have the skin in the game required to build a shelter. They are tourists in your empire. They want the photos and the view, but they don't want the maintenance or the labor. They are optimized for consumption. When the supply runs low, they don't work to replenish it. They migrate to a new source. The sixth major red flag is the victim narrative. Every ex-boyfriend was crazy or broke or abusive. She is always the perfect partner who was mistreated. This is a psychological shield. By framing her past as a series of failures by men, she is setting the stage for you to prove you're different by giving her more. It's a manipulative hook. You want to be the hero who saves her, but you don't realize that the dragon she's running from is actually her own insatiable need. If she cannot take responsibility for a single failed relationship in her past, she will never take responsibility for betraying you in the future. The reality is that a woman who needs your success to love you will leave you to find someone more successful the second you falter. You are looking for empathy, but she is providing service. You are looking for partnership, but she is providing a subscription. If you cancel the payment, she cancels the access. It is the most honest and brutal exchange in the world, yet men sugarcoat it because they are addicted to the visual. They would rather go broke maintaining a lie than go lone and face the truth. You have to realize that a high-maintenance woman with a low-maintenance heart is a liability. You are the investor. If you are pouring your soul into a vessel that has a hole in the bottom, you aren't building a life. You are managing a leak. You are the source. You are the value. If she doesn't respect the work it took to become the man you are, she will never protect the peace you are trying to create. When she views your achievement as a service she is owed, the relationship is already dead. You're just the last one to find out. The seventh sign is the mirror of insecurity. Ironically, the woman who is mining or cheating will often be the most accusatory. She will project her own fluid morality onto you. She will check your phone, question your whereabouts, and interrogate your intentions. This isn't love, it's risk management. She knows what she is capable of, so she assumes you are doing the same. She wants to ensure you aren't diversifying your assets before she has a chance to extract hers. It is a psychological smokescreen designed to keep you on the defensive, so you never have the mental clarity to audit her. Finally, we have to look at the social comparison engine. She isn't comparing her life to yours. She is comparing your life together to the curated highlights of everyone else's. If her self-worth is fueled by external validation, by likes, by status, by the envy of other women, then you are just a prop in her digital theater. The moment you stop making her look good or feel superior to her peers, you become obsolete. A woman who is addicted to the climb will never settle for a stable peak. She is always looking for the next summit. And in her world, loyalty is just a weight she is willing to drop to get there faster. In this final movement, we are stepping away from the transaction and entering the transformation. We have identified the mechanism of the leak. Now we are going to build the fortress. We are diving into the narcissistic collapse that occurs when you withdraw the resources and the attention she has grown to feel entitled to. We will break down the neurobiology of the sovereign exit and why your indifference is the only currency she cannot manipulate. By the end of this, you will understand that the discovery of her pattern wasn't a financial loss. It was an investment recovery. You are liquidating the lies to reinvest in the only asset that has unlimited potential. Yourself. You aren't recovering from a betrayal. You are securing your future by deleting the infiltrator. Most people react. Few people understand. If you're here to think deeper, not louder, you belong here. Subscribe and stay with the ones who choose clarity over noise. Leave a comment if you're part of the conversation. No ego, just awareness. The eighth and most critical sign to spot is the weaponization of the future. A woman who is mining or cheating will constantly use future faking to keep you in the current transaction. She will talk about the house you'll build, the travel you'll do, or the family you'll have, but only when you are in the middle of providing a significant resource. This is a psychological anchor. She is selling you a dream to keep you paying for the nightmare. If her vision of the future is always expensive, but her commitment to the present is always cheap, you are being hustled. The sovereign man judges a woman by her current consistency, not her projected promises. This leads us to the anatomy of the exit interview. When you finally spot the pattern and close the vault, watch how her love turns into acid. A woman with integrity will respond to conflict with grief and self-reflection. A woman who is transactional will respond with character assassination. The second you are no longer useful, you become abusive, boring, or toxic. She has to kill your reputation to justify her migration. This is the final audit. If her affection was performance-based, her departure will be destruction-based. She doesn't feel remorse for the extraction. She feels rage that the resource has woken up. The ninth red flag is the selective memory of sacrifice. You'll notice that she forgets everything you've built, bought, and braved for her the moment she wants more. She has an ethical eraser. In her mind, your past contributions were just entry fees for the time she gave you. She doesn't see sacrifice as a shared debt. She sees it as your obligation. This lack of reciprocity is the calling card of the predator. If she can overwrite your history of kindness with a single moment of convenience, she never valued you. She only valued the flow. We must also analyze the substitution effect. A woman who cheats and mines is often terrified of silence. She cannot be alone because she has no internal value. She needs an external source to mirror her self-worth. This is why she always has a backup generator, a friend, an ex, or a colleague who is waiting in the wings. She doesn't end a relationship. She transfers her dependency. If you see her pre-programming her next destination while she's still residing in yours, you aren't in a relationship. You're in a waiting room. Behavioral observations suggest that a man's generosity is a cheater's greatest tool. Your kindness is her shield. She knows that because you are a good man, you will give her the benefit of the doubt. She uses your morality to hide her malice. She knows you'll wait for proof, so she makes sure the proof is buried. The sovereign man stops waiting for proof and starts trusting the energy. If the energy of the house is cold, transactional, and secretive, the proof is already in your gut. The 11th sign is the devaluation of the simple. A woman who is genuine finds joy in the zero-cost moments, the walks, the conversations, the quiet presence. A gold digger or a cheater finds these moments suffocating. They need distraction, noise, and novelty. They need the high of the purchase or the adrenaline of the forbidden. If she is uncomfortable in the stillness with you, it's because her conscience is speaking and she doesn't like the tone. She needs activity to drown out the truth. The reality is that you cannot love a void into becoming a solid. You can empty your bank account and daughter your heart. But a woman who is programmed for consumption will never say enough. She is a black hole of validation and resources. The sovereign man recognizes that his job isn't to fill the hole, it's to walk away from the pit. You have to accept that she is functioning exactly as her character dictates. The error wasn't her nature. The error was your expectation that she would change it for you. You must establish total resource sovereignty. This isn't just about money, it's about emotional capital. Stop investing your deepest thoughts, your time, and your loyalty into a market that is crashing. When you see the pattern, you withdraw the investment. You become polite, predictable, and private. You starve the parasite of the reaction it needs to survive. You move into a state of indifference that is so absolute, it feels like a vacuum. The final psychological shift is moving from, how do I keep her, to, why did I ever want to? This is the aha moment of the sovereign man. You realize that the woman you were chasing was a hologram projected by your own hopes. The real woman is the one who audits your worth, hides her phone, and values the transaction above the man. Once you see the real version, the hologram loses its power. You aren't losing anything except a weight you were never meant to carry. The reality is that a man who guards his gates never has to mourn his treasury. Behavioral observations suggest that strength is the only language a predator respects. If you are easy to use, you will be used. If you are impossible to manipulate, you will be avoided. You are the source. You are the value. If she didn't respect the struggle, she has no right to the success. I have a smart, reflective question for the men who have the sovereign fortitude to spot the predator and keep their peace. If you were holding a diamond and a thief tried to swap it for a piece of glass while telling you it was a favor, would you thank the thief and keep the glass? Or would you close your hand, walk out the door, and realize that the thief just reminded you of the true value of what you've been holding all along? Drop a comment below and share your sovereign insight. What was the smallest detail, the one look, the one comment, or the one transaction that finally cracked the mask and showed you her true intent? How did your life improve the second you stopped paying for access to a liar? Let the Brotherhood know how you recognized the trap and saved your future. Your awareness is the armor for the next man. Let's build the Council of Sovereign Men together. If you're still here, you weren't just watching. You were paying attention. That means you're done with noise and ready for clarity. If that's you, subscribe and stay connected to this space. Drop a comment with what stood out. I read them. Stay grounded. Stay aware. I'll see you in the next one.